Come on everybody, it's time to create and make some drama that's really great. We're gonna work together, collaborate in Mr. Coit's corner, so don't be late. Let's have some fun.
Hey there, crafty kids. Welcome to Mr. Coit's Creative Corner. I'm so happy that you're here today. Over the past 2 weeks, we have worked together to create a bunny mask and a turtle mask. Today, I am going to show you what I do when I am ready to act out a story. And then we are going to use our masks to perform one of my favorite stories with a really good lesson. The story is
The Tortoise
and the Hare. Now, if you don't have a mask or you didn't make the masks the last 2 weeks, don't worry. You can still act out the story with me. Instead of using a mask, you'll just use your face. Are you ready? Let's go! The story of the tortoise and the hare goes like this. Once there was a tortoise and a hare. The hare was very fast and very confident. The tortoise was calm and moved quite slowly. One day, they decided to have a race. When the race began, the hare bounced off so fast, leaving the tortoise very far behind. The hare was so confident that in the middle of the race, he decided to take a nap under a tree. Meanwhile, the tortoise just kept going, slow and steady, slow and steady. The tortoise passed the hare on the racetrack while the hare was sleeping. When the hare woke up from his nap, the tortoise was about to win the race. The hare jumped up and tried to catch up to the tortoise, but it was too late. The tortoise had beaten the hare. This story teaches us that slow and steady wins the race. That means that if you're facing a challenge in your life, you just want to keep going, slow and steady, until you overcome your challenge, just like the tortoise overcame the hare and won the race. Now, before I start to act out a story, I like to think about the characters and how they might move and how they might talk. First, I'm going to think about the tortoise. I know that tortoises or turtles move very, very slowly. So when I act like the tortoise, I'm going to move my body
very slow, slow and steady.
And when the tortoise talks, I might also talk a little
bit slower, like a tortoise.
Now the hare, on the other hand, is a fast character. And I know that the hare and bunnies, they like to jump. So anytime I move like the hare, I'm going to
hop, hop, hop.
And if I'm the hare,
I'm gonna talk super, super fast like this because I know that the hare talks so, so fast.
And the turtle talks slow.
Now that I've thought about how the characters are going to move and sound, I'm going to think about how the characters are feeling at the beginning of the story, in the middle of the story, and at the end of the story. At the beginning of the story, the hare feels very, very confident that he is going to beat the turtle in a race. If I'm feeling confident, I might stick my chest out a little bit, put my hands on my hips, and lift my chin up. This shows my audience that I am feeling confident. In the middle of the story, the hare takes a nap. So if I was pretending to sleep, I might put my hand on my cheek and close my eyes, just like this. He's feeling tired. At the end of the story, the hare probably feels upset because he lost the race. If I was feeling upset, I might put my hands on my hips again, but this time instead of sticking out my chest, I'm gonna curl my chest in. And instead of sticking up my chin, I'm gonna put my chin down.
Because I am upset.
Now the tortoise. The tortoise is a pretty steady character. What that means is that he doesn't change pretty much throughout the whole story. The tortoise is calm at the beginning, calm at the middle, and calm at the end. Even when the hare is not nice to him, the tortoise stays calm. So if I'm calm, I'm gonna have a pretty neutral body. What that means is that I'm not gonna show a lot of emotions with my body. I'm just going to stay calm and steady, just like the tortoise. Now that I've thought about how the characters are going to move and sound and feel during the story, it's time for me to act it out. If you have a sibling or family member who wants to act it out with you, that would be so great. But if not, don't worry. You can use your big imagination to play both characters in the story. Oh, and one more thing. If you decide to use your masks, that's great. But again, if you don't have the masks that we made the last 2 weeks, that's okay. You're gonna use your face and your voice and your body to pretend to be the characters. If you do have your masks, you're gonna use your mask in front of your face, which means you're only gonna have your voice and your body to show how the characters are feeling. Get ready, because it's time to act out the story of the tortoise and the hare. Once upon a time, there was a tortoise and a hare. One day, the hare stopped and looked down at the tortoise and said,
Tortoise, you are such a slowpoke.
The tortoise responded,
I am not a slowpoke, Hare. I just like to take my time.
The hare decided that he wanted to challenge Tortoise to a race. So he said to Tortoise,
Tortoise, I challenge you to a race.
The tortoise responded,
I accept your challenge, Hare.
Before Tortoise could stand up, Hare said,
Your mark, get set, go.
and with that, the hare was off. Tortoise, slow and steady, stood up and began the race. Slow and steady, slow and steady. Meanwhile, Hare bounced far ahead of Tortoise on the racetrack. Knowing he was so far ahead, he said,
The tortoise will never catch me. He's so far behind me by now.
Hare was so far ahead, he decided to take a break.
That tortoise will never catch me. I think I'm going to take a nap under this tree.
Hare sat down under the tree and quickly fell asleep. Meanwhile, Tortoise continued along the racetrack, slow and steady, slow and steady. He was not worried about where Hare was on the racetrack. He just continued the race, slow and steady.
What a lovely day for a race.
Soon, Tortoise had caught up with Hare, who was napping under the tree.
Oh, look. There is the hare. He must have decided to take a nap. I will keep going, slow and steady.
Tortoise continued along on the racetrack, slow and steady. Soon, Tortoise could see the finish line of the race. He looked and then said,
There's the finish line. I see it. Slow and steady.
Not knowing that Tortoise had passed him on the racetrack, the hare continued to sleep under the tree. Suddenly he woke up.
Oh no! Tortoise is about to beat me in the race! Oh no! Wait! Come back! Not fair! Not fair! Not fair!
Hare tried to catch up, but it was too late. Tortoise was already celebrating.
I won the race. Yay! Slow and steady. Slow and steady. I think I'll sit down and wait for Hare.
Tortoise sat down in the flowers and waited for Hare to arrive at the finish line.
Wait! Tortoise, you beat me in the race!
Tortoise looked up at the hare and said,
What took you so long, Hare?
the speedy hare had lost to the slow tortoise.
I'm so angry!
And that is the story of the tortoise and the hare. I hope you enjoyed watching Mr. Coit's version of the tortoise and the hare. If you decide to act out any part of this story, either by yourself or with a sibling or family member, send me a picture or a video at KES_enrichment@uncommonschools.org. I would love to see videos and photos of you acting out this story. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Mr. Coit's Creative Corner. Make sure that you tune back next week because we're going to have more fun, cool, creative drama activities for you to try out at home. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you soon. Bye!